What does it mean to be human and to be alive? A complex and difficult question to answer, heavily influenced by individuality, environment, context, and experience, but one not to be avoided if we are to live a fulfilling life in this world in all its glory, wonder, wisdom, freedom, complexity, compliance, paradox, tragedy, pain, and suffering, which is encapsulated wonderfully in this poem by Rilke. My life is not this steeply sloping hour in which you see me hurrying. Much stands behind me, and I stand before it like a tree. I am only one of my many mouths, and at that, the one that will be still the soonest. I am the rest between two notes, which are somehow always in discord, because death's note wants to climb over, but in the dark interval, reconciled, they stay there trembling. And the song goes on, beautiful. It is amazing that we exist at all. We are called into this world through what is one of the most complex, life-producing biological processes. After millions of cell divisions, the fetus is created. A newborn baby has 26 billion cells, and it is estimated that there are 100 trillion atoms per cell, which rises to 50 trillion cells in an adult. Everything is made up from atoms, and fundamentally, atoms are made up of vibrating energy. At which point is it human? Indeed, the classification human is created by humans. At every point since conception. When is the soul present? If you are embarrassed by the word spirit, soul, think of spirit as the subtlest form of matter, but if you are embarrassed by the word matter, think of it as the densest form of spirit. Sri Aurobindo, always. Human birth is a spectacular event, by any measure of science or spirituality. From a mathematical perspective, it is estimated that the chances of you being born as you are 1 in 4 trillion. You are that lucky to be here. So make your life extraordinary. From the moment of conception, the baby has started on an incredible journey of arising in the world, becoming manifest, something we classify as self, but something that never separates from the ground of being, nature itself. There is, however, a bigger process of evolution to which becoming human belongs, that interconnection with everything. We have, in the truest sense, evolved from stardust, as carbon was originally formed in stars, and it is the second most abundant element in the human body. Without it, we would not exist. We are the conscious reflection and explicit manifestation of what David Bohm calls implicate order, what Eastern Indian mystics call sutra, thread or string, what many religions call God, what the Red Indians call the Great Spirit, what quantum mechanics call the unified field, what I refer to here as perfect oneness. There is a strand that connects all things. It is from where we have come, our source. It is what we are, and it is to where we will inevitably return. It is a dimension beyond time and space, which are merely human constructs. This is true creationism, all relating constantly and infinitely creating form from formlessness, and then back to formlessness again. Finite from infinite, and then back to infinite. The whole perfect oneness in creation. John O'Donoghue, in Divine Beauty, The Invisible Embrace, comments, quote, "There is no other way into the world except through the body of a woman. Woman is the portal to the universe. She is also the womb of being. Each person in the world commenced life as a minuscule trace within depths of the mother, whose womb is the space where that trace expands and opens to assume human form. In terms of one's later identity and destiny abroad in the world, this is the time for ultimate formation and influence. In human encounters, there is nothing nearer to this. No two humans ever come closer than when one is forming in the other's depths. Naturally, the relationship is hugely imbalanced. The one is a complete person, the other is minuscule and is just beginning a journey towards identity through absorbing life from the mother. No man ever comes nearer a woman, no woman ever comes nearer to a woman. This intricate nurturing into identity takes place below the light in the physical subconsciousness of her body. The whole journey is a hidden one. It is the longest human journey from the invisible to the visible. From every inner pathway, the labyrinth of her body brings a flow of life to form and free this inner pilgrim. Imagine the incredible events that are coming to form within the embryo. How each particle of growth is like the formation of a world from fragments." Unquote. I once heard Satish Kumar, previously a Jain monk and latterly an environmentalist, give a lecture at Lancaster University in which he quoted Descartes' "I think, therefore I am," before going on to ask who this I is and what is all this thinking. Until we have a shared understanding of these I and thinking concepts, it is very difficult to engage in any meaningful way. Christopher Lasch identifies with the minimal self, wherein he recognizes, quote, "the tendency for increasing narcissism with a defensive core. Self-centered, self-obsessed with ego gratification, social status, and the pursuit of hedonic pleasure. The focus on self separates the human being from all that is around them, and there is a tendency for anything which is not perceived as the self to be in competition with or under threat from it." Unquote. This minimal, separate self then acts against all that it does not perceive as itself. This anthropocentric, separate way of looking at our environment, by environment, I mean everything and anything we are aware of, material things, energy, fields, thoughts, feelings, or emotions, along with the stories we tell and the cultures we inhabit, is the root cause of most of our challenges. Stephen Harding comments, quote, "Experiencing our full humanity requires us to attenuate our self-centeredness by enfolding it within a much wider sense of self in which we experience genuine love and compassion for all beings, both living and non-living. There are many names for this wider, deeper self, which is our deepest level of consciousness. My preference is for Arne Naess's term, ecological self, because it suggests that the wider self is not some insubstantial, ethereal intellectualization, but rather deeply rooted in the very materiality of our planet, in its teeming biodiversity, its ancient, crumpled continents, its swirling atmosphere, and the depths and shallows of its lakes, rivers, and oceans. Thus, the ecological self is not only the human self, it is also the self or soul of the world, the anima mundi that awakens us to our full humanity. When we know, palpably, in our very bones, that there is a selfhood far more vast than the one in which we live and have our being, and to which we are ultimately accountable." Unquote. We are given to believe humankind is the most advanced thinking being on our planet. David Bohm has been described as one of the most significant theoretical physicists of the 20th century, who contributed ideas in quantum theory, neuropsychology, and the philosophy of mind, and a student of Oppenheimer provides an insight into thinking in his book, Thought as a System. Quote, "In a dialogue with Bohm, two interesting questions and answers arose regarding thought. Question: Is there nothing that's limited and known except through looking at it wrongly? Bohm thought always provides limits, which have relative validity. I'm suggesting you have two possibilities. One is to say that everything is limited, and knowledge could get it all. And the other is to say that knowledge cannot get it all. People are trying to find out what the ultimate knowledge is. Scientists thought they had it in the 19th century, where much of our socio-economic, business, and economic philosophy and culture emanates from, and then they said, no, it's not so. Today, there is no sign that we have the final theory yet, although people are talking about the theory of everything, which they hope to get. But you could say, first of all, that any knowledge we've ever had has been limited. Now that doesn't prove anything, but it makes one question. Suppose even that physicists had finally found the theory of everything, the ultimate final particles, which we'll call the ultimans. And then it would just go on century after century. They would calculate in terms of ultimans, and everything would work out. But there would still be no proof that maybe in the next minute or next hour or day or century, they wouldn't discover a limit to it all, and it wouldn't work. In other words, there is no way to know that you've got it. So, it's a poor strategy to assume it, because if you assume that you have the ultimate, then you won't look for anything else, and therefore it will tend to trap you. You have no way of knowing that you have the ultimate. You may say something like, God told me, but then people could say, how do you know that? You can't ever get absolute assurance that you have the ultimate knowledge, no matter how convinced you are of it. The best you can say is, as far as I can see, that's the way it is. Question. Then, the search for the ultimate in terms of knowledge might be a mistake in itself? Bohm. Yes, it may be a very serious mistake, part of the flaw in the system of thinking we're talking about. We have to be open. Everything is changing every moment, and the possibility of keeping track of it is nil. Bohm also comments on the folly of separateness, fragmentation. For fragmentation is now very widespread, not only throughout society, but also in each individual. And this is leading to a kind of general confusion of the mind, which creates an endless series of problems and interferes with our clarity of perception so seriously as to prevent us from being able to solve most of them. Unquote. So, in keeping with Bohm, as far as we can see, this is what it means to be human. Rudolf Steiner and Thomas Berry help provide useful insights. Steiner, quote, "The human being is not an idle onlooker before the pageant of the world, mirroring back in his spirit what is going on in the universe without involving him. He is an active participant in a cosmic creative process, and his knowledge is actually the most highly evolved part of the organism of the universe." Thomas Berry, quote, "The natural world is the material source of our being as earthlings and the life-giving nourishment of our physical, emotional, aesthetic, moral, and religious existence. The natural world is the largest sacred community to which we belong. To be alienated from this community is to become destitute in all that makes us human. To damage this community is to diminish our own existence. All human professions, institutions, and activities must be integral with the earth as the primary self-nourishing, self-governing, and self-fulfilling community. To integrate our human activities within this context is our way into the future. We are not in nature, we are nature." Unquote. We are dream weavers. Many indigenous people, indigenous meaning of this place, recognize the importance of the dream, of the vision created in our imaginations. Indeed, much of our world is created, either explicitly or implicitly, out of human imagination. We are storytellers. It's all a question of story. The stories we tell ourselves, the stories we tell others, the stories we are told, and coupled with our social constructs, our lives are a mix of evolving stories. Stories are how we frame, portray, and project our individual and collective meanings, beliefs, realities, awarenesses, and experiences. They are the narrative by which we define our past, present, and future, all from within the ever-present now. They are how we communicate, and there are many ways they can be told. Stories are imbued with myth, legend, fact, fiction, drama, hopes, dreams, visions, and fear, the whole gamut of life. Berry says, "We are in trouble right now." Quote, "We are in between stories. The old story, the account of how the world came to be and how we fit into it, is no longer effective. Yet we have not learned the new story. Presently, this traditional story is dysfunctional. Even with advanced science and technology, with superb techniques in manufacturing, in communications and computations, our current dominant story, our secular society remains without satisfactory meaning or social discipline needed for a life leading to emotional, aesthetic, and spiritual fulfillment." Unquote. We are alchemists. Leading physicists and scientists are now joining many psychologists, philosophers, and theologians, pointing to the impact of conscious will in determining physical world entities. We know we do this at a tangible physical level. We create material things by combining chemicals, minerals, and other elements, but they are also demonstrating the importance and fundamental role of the observer, of conscious agents, and, as far as we know, humans are the most advanced life form doing such. Through our imaginations, we create and determine reality physically, socially, and personally. We are indeed true alchemists. And we are made from stardust. Every atom of oxygen in our lungs, of carbon in our muscles, of calcium in our bones, of iron in our blood, was created inside a star before Earth was born. However, we have forgotten the wonder of it all and need to reimagine ourselves. In some sense, we need to remember our destiny, and we need to do it quickly. Perhaps one of the greatest limiting aspects to our awareness, our experience, and our ability to communicate the impact that the infinite has on our being is language. As Jeff Lieberman commented, quote, These, our experiences, could never be reduced to words." Unquote. Therefore, words are inadequate to fully describe reality. Bohm argued that our language was far too object-oriented or noun-based, and argued that this was making us see a world of static objects instead of dynamic, flowing, energetic processes. What do you think it means to be human? Please also see the videos mentioned in the description below from Jeff Lieberman and Rupert Spira.